What's going on, Draft League fans? It is GeneralTarheel bringing you another APA Ascension match. For this, we are in Week 3 and we are facing HYDRA. Very scary looking team with a core I kind of have similar in another league, so this is actually kind of interesting. So we're facing off versus a Garchomp, Clefable, Jirachi, Raikou, Mega Pidgeot, Drapion, Dhelmise, Basculin, Wishiwashi, Blaziken, and Whirlipede. Very interesting team. I'm actually quite a fan of it, to be honest. Originally, on paper, I look at it and I just see it looks like Zard food, which we'll get to in a second. But overall, I really am a big fan of the team. I have a Garchomp Clefable core in APA Classic right now, so I'm a big fan of that. Jirachi is a great steel type to go with that for sure. Very surprising to see all those picks on one team, to be honest. Raikou, very nice in this generation because it gets access to Scald. Obviously, Weather Ball now as well. I feel like there's another move that I'm not acknowledging off the top of my head. But either way, Scald is huge for it. So that's the main thing to get across. Mega Pidgeot, very underrated Mega. Very good offensively, always landing Hurricanes and Heat Waves because of its no guard ability. Obviously, it can be like a workup roost set, which is very intimidating. Drapion, easily one of the best Darks in Draft League format, period. Best Poisons, period. Drapion is one of my top favorites in Draft League for sure. Such a good Pokemon. Can be offensive, like Choice Scarf for Choice Band. Can be setup. Can be just a Spike Setter. Can be Spadef. Obviously, losing Pursuit's a little bit annoying for it, but overall, just a beautiful Pokemon. If you haven't used Drapion in Draft League, I highly suggest you make it the Dark type on your next draft team. It is such a good Pokemon. Dhelmise, very solid. Actually, I had to face it twice this week, as you'll see in the APA low tier. I am going to do it back-to-back, I feel like, because I had to delay my low tier because of Thanksgiving. I feel like I might just try and upload these around the same time. So if you do see this video, make sure to check out the APA low tier as well. That's going to be going up sometime today, if not at the same time. So make sure to watch out for that. Basculin, pretty decent offensive water type. I used it recently as well. I don't really expect it to come versus me. It's got potential because of Psychic Rings for my grass type in Roserade. And obviously Suicune doesn't get health back on its own apart from rest. So being able to weaken Suicune is actually potentially something that they could be focused on doing. And that's why they make use of Basculin. But obviously Melmetal's got good overall bulk. Mesprit can kind of deal with it decently. It's not really going to be doing too much damage to Zard, and it is going to be dropping to one Dragon Claw. But Basculin's a good, could be a very decent budget pick for a lot of teams. So Wishiwashi can be actually a very solid bulky water. Can be also decently offensively, very slow, and obviously with its schooling ability, it will lose its impressive stats once it's at a certain HP value. So Blaziken, really solid firefighting type with this generation getting U-turn in close combat. Very happy to see this thing drafted more. I'm expecting, if it comes, I wouldn't be entirely surprised because it can be pretty annoying. If it comes versus me specifically, I'm expecting a Choice Band set because that could be a big problem, or maybe kind of like a slightly bulkier SD set to kind of abuse the likes of Sneasel, obviously being able to stop both of Sneasel's stabs. And Whirlipede can just be a decent hazard setter, and that's basically all it comes down to. Surprised to see Whirlipede on the same team as Drapion, but it's okay. When you get down into that low points, you got to pick up whatever you can, or whatever's the best value. So for this matchup, like I said, immediately I just saw Charizard food, so I 100% wanted to go for it. They can easily bring a Choice Scarf Garchomp, but if it's Choice Garchomp, I'm able to deal with that so much better. Obviously, if they're an Unaware Clefable that's max defensive, Charizard still naturally 2 KOs Clefable with 2 Flare Blitz. So off the bat, I'm more than likely just clicking Flare Blitz with Charizard. They could have a check and Wishiwashi to the Charizard, but that's like basically it. Other than that, if I get a DD and like chip off on Clefable and there's no Scarf Chomp, Charizard just wins. I think it's honestly that simple. Like, I'll take a lot of recoil from Flare Blitz, but if I'm able to deal with it properly and potentially get off a Roost versus some Pokemon, it's just over. Charizard's just able to deal with it, so I'm going to hope that's the case, because I would love to see Charizard get a sweep, but I'm expecting him to have the proper checks this week. But the main Pokemon expecting to get all the kills this week, we have Choice Banded Melmetal. Show me a switch in. The best that they can do is defensive Rachi and defensive Wishiwashi. Apart from that, everything else is getting destroyed. Even then, Wishy-Washy and Jirachi are still like potentially getting 2-hit KO'd, which is crazy. If it's max defensive Jirachi, obviously they won't get 2-hit KO by double Iron Bash, but still I have Choice Band Earthquake to deal with appropriately. Choice Band double Iron Bash even kills Raikou if it's offensive after Stealth Rocks. The damage output of this is insane. So, and for me to be able to abuse that this week, I'm going to be bringing Trick Room on Mesprit as well, which is beautiful, which I'll get to in a second. So overall, just running Ice Punch just in case I need it for Garchomp 100%, even though double Iron Bash will just outright KO it majority of the time. And Thunder Punch just in case I need to click it versus Wishy-Washy. Originally I was debating something like Sleep Talk, but I didn't really think that was necessary, so I just opted to go with Thunder Punch. So we are bringing the Mesprit with the Trick Room to help support Melmetal. We're rocking Stealth Rock, Trick Room, Ice Beam, and Healing Wish with the Colbur Berry. Colbur just helps us a little bit more versus like potential knockoff Blaziken. It's mainly Drapion to make sure I can get a Trick Room up versus just about anything though. Yeah, I was also debating like a Sibberry versus Delmise, but either way, I feel like this is the best thing for me. Stealth Rocks are pretty nice versus their team. It gets good overall average ship. Pokemon like Clefable are obviously unaffected, or if they opt to bring Boots on anything, but really nothing on their team really brings Boots. Their only Stealth Rock weak Pokemon is Mega Pidgeot, which of course has to bring the Mega Evolution Stone, so don't have to worry about Boots on just about anything unless they're just doing it for a very solid pivot. So Stealth Rocks will get very nice chip off versus their entire team if they're not able to defog with Mega Pidgeot or Rapid Spin with Delmise. Ice Beam helps me for sure deal with Garchomp, as well as having all that defensive bulk really backs it up well. And Healing Wish. Healing Wish allows me to get Melmetal back to full. So this basically potentially presents Mesprit to get up Trick Room twice, and then Healing Wish into Melmetal the following time, because they obviously have Rough Skin from Garchomp. They can easily bring Rocky Helmet on some Pokemons to get chip on Melmetal because it's that big of a threat. So keeping all of that in mind, Healing Wish on Mesprit does go a long way for Melmetal. And even if it's not Melmetal, I could potentially Healing Wish Charizard, which Flare Blitz Clefable from full in the previous turn. If I'm able to Heal Wish, get Charizard back in. Or if Charizard was about to win, but it got T-Wave by Clefable, because it was unaware T-Wave, then I can get Charizard back in later because of Healing Wish from Mesprit. So there's a lot of opportunities, and I think Healing Wish would go a long way in this matchup, so that's why I'm opting to go with it. I feel like this will be really big, though, with Trick Room Melmetal. I'm very happy with the thought of this week. Next up, we have Gliscor. This is a mixed bulky offensive Gliscor with Protect, Earthquake, Ice Fang, and Swords Dance, with the Toxic or Poison Heal, of course. This helps me deal with Garchomp pretty easily, as well as just being able to SD and potentially be a pain to their team. Obviously, if they are unaware Clef, I won't be doing anything to that, but I am also able to potentially weaken the Wishy-Washy for the likes of Melmetal, in case they do opt to bring that as their bulky water. In general, Ground plus Ice deals with them pretty well. I wish I had a Mamoswine compared to a Gliscor, but this will do fine nonetheless. And once again, I was always hoping to bring more moves on Gliscor, but this will have to do it this week. I'm opting not to bring Defog, which I hope doesn't prove to be a pain this week, as they have really solid Stealth Rock Setters and Garchomp, Clefable, and Jirachi. Next up, we're bringing Sneasel with Life Orb. Unfortunately, I feel like I had to bring the Life Orb just to make sure I have a designated way to deal with a SD Scale Shot Garchomp. So I have to bring Life Orb Ice Shard to make sure I can pick up the KO. So that's what I'm opting to go for. Heavy Duty Boots, obviously not bringing the Defog, but I really just want the damage output that Sneasel can provide. So Triple Axle, Knockoff, Ice Shard, and Swords Dance. This thing could potentially win in the late game. It is also important for me to be max speed to potentially risk a speed tie versus Raikou. That'd be very big for me if I am able to pick up that. So keeping that in mind, Sneasel is definitely going to be a Pokemon that stays in the back for the ideal late game. And then I use like Charizard and Melmetal to break early on. So. And lastly, Suicune just to be annoying versus their team. Scald, Substitute, Toxic, Protect with lefties. That's all we need it for. None more, nothing less. I'm able to potentially Toxic Pressure Stall the Raikou if it's trying to set up versus me. Toxic's just spammable versus their team overall. A proper Jirachi might be able to deal with this, but in general, it just gives me a decent check to Blaziken. Another way to deal with Drapion, Garchomp, and overall just spamming status versus their team, even though they have one of the best clerics in the game in Clefable. It just seems like the proper 6th Mon this week. I didn't really know what else to bring because some other things like Roserade just give them way too much momentum on their own team. So that's why I opted to go with this. I feel like the team's fairly solid, and I feel like there's a lot you can do. I'm expecting Melmetal to do everything for me this week. Potentially Charizard does get a sweep, but if anything, Melmetal just breaks open for Sneasel, and Sneasel cleans up late game. That's how I'm expecting it to go. So keeping that in mind, we go into the battle, and we do see that they opt to bring the Jirachi, the Garchomp, the Clefable, the Mega Pidgeot, the Raikou, and the Wishy-Washy. So they do have the defensive Wishy-Washy, or at least that's what it looks like on paper here. So I'm expecting that. Jirachi can literally be any set, as proven by Ultra players, so you have to be careful versus any Jirachi you face. Make sure you scout it. Don't just expect it to be one given set. Respect your opponent and expect it to be something unexpected. Expect the unexpected, my children. Garchomp, based off this team, it's potentially not Choice Scarf, but I feel like Choice Scarf is just very safe for their team in general, so they don't lose to Charizard. Clefable, once again, this Clefable can be either defensive, it can be offensive. I wouldn't be surprised if he's an offensive Clef versus my team, considering my Steel is Melmetal, which easily is dealt with by the likes of an offensive, speedy Magikarp Life Orb like Flamethrower or Fire Blast Clef. That's actually very terrifying. So Mega Pidgeot, probably just expecting Heat Wave, Hurricane, Roost, and then Fill-In move. It could be Defog, it could be Work Up, which could be a little bit more annoying. It could be Substitute, it could be plenty of things. And then Raikou. Raikou, I'm kind of just expecting to be a Calm Mind set. I'm not sure exactly what other moves it might want to bring, but Calm Mind with at least Electric plus Scald is what's needed versus my team. It might... I don't really expect anything else, but yeah, that's basically it. And defensive Wishy-Washy, because Wishy-Washy does get Flip Turn now, which is huge. So, knowing all this, I'm going to opt to lead with my Charizard. It just clicks and move versus their team. And it deals with 2 out of their 3 Stealth Rockers in Clefable and Jirachi. So they opt to lead Raikou. I'm just going to immediately Mega Evolve and click Flare Blitz in case he wants to try and set up immediately. I want to just go ahead and get off as much damage as possible. They go Wishy-Washy. We see it as 31%. I take Rocky Helmet plus Recoil, so we know this is defensive. It looks to me immediately in the calc that it's only HP invested, though, based off the roll. That was my assumption. So I was like, okay, that's not that bad. I can still deal with that pretty well, and that's good chip for Melmetal later on, so I'm fine with that. I'm going to Dragon Dance just in case they do Flip Turn and they don't have Scarf Chomp. If they have Scarf Chomp, they'll go hard into it, and I'm totally fine with that. So they opt to go with the Garchomp here after my TT, proving that it's most likely Choice Scarf as they just go for an Earthquake. So they're either Habanberry or they are Choice Scarf, which I am totally fine with that knowledge. As they go into Gliscor, there's nothing they can do there. I'm going to immediately double into Mesprit, though, to try to go ahead and set up my Trick Room and start being annoying. As they go into Mega Pidgeot, I have to click Trick Room here in case they just go for the damage. I'm going to go ahead and get up my Stealth Rock because I feel like it's kind of free as the Jirachi clicks U-turn versus me. This means they go hard into Clef as I am just going to, in return, go hard into Melmetal. I'm kind of confused by their immediate double there. I don't know what they were really expecting me to do. Maybe go... No, Hard Zard doesn't make sense, because even if they're defensive Clefs, I'm pretty sure Moonblast has a chance to KO me from there. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe they were expecting the Melmetal, but yeah. So I go for double Iron Bash, because based off the roll, I expect a 100% kill, and even though they are the Rocky Helmet, which I made aware in the previous turns with Flare Blitz from Zard, even though I'm taking that chip from Rocky Helmet, like I mentioned, I do have Healing Wish from Mesprit, so I'm not worried about that chip on Melmetal. Also, if I am able to pick up the KO with Double Iron Bash, this forces them 100% to go into Rachi on the following turn, which I can get a lot of chip off on. Or if they go into literally any other Pokemon, I just pick up a KO. So we do get the flinch here, which is big, because they would have been able to get off a lot of chip versus me. I don't think they would have been able to KO me with anything, but either way, I'm able to click Double Iron Bash one more time. We pick up the KO as Trick Room ends. This allows them to go out into their Pidgeot here. I'm just going to go hard into Suicune, expecting the Heat Wave, and in general, I can take a Hurricane too, and start being annoying with Suicune. I get to see if they're a Magic Guard on Clef, which I know they are because of the Stealth Rocks before, I do believe. and I'm able to see what kind of Jirachi set as well. So I'm just going to Toxic here because it's, I think, overall free versus their team. Especially if they go for a workup, I'd rather go for a Toxic before a Scald. As they go hard into Jirachi on the Toxic, I'm totally fine with that. I'm just going to Protect here to see what they want to go for. But they do just go for Stealth Rocks, nothing too much to worry about there. I could have potentially have gotten more momentum, gone like hard Sneasel or something, which could have been big, but I didn't really feel like that was a necessary play. Plus, I want to keep Sneasel healthy in case I need to rely on the speed type versus Raikou. They go for Encore, which is really solid versus a Suicune. Very good burn on their part, and they're just able to U-turn and immediately gain momentum. But luckily for me, Gliscor can basically deal with just about anything on their team. I do have to scout for like an Ice Beam on Clefable and stuff, but overall this is very solid. Of course, Pidgeot's not able to run HP Ice in this generation, so I'm able to take a Hurricane from where I'm at no matter what, especially after Poison Heal here. So I'm able to go for the SD on what I expect to be a Roost, because this will allow me to go for the Ice Fang the next turn and do a lot of damage to him. If I was Stone Edge, I'd be doing a lot more, but I want to for sure have the Ice Fang for the likes of Garchomp just to get the most damage possible. So I do SD on that. As they go for Hurricane, they do 70%, which is a lot. I go for Ice Fang because obviously it's my only way of hitting it, and we get the freeze. I feel bad about this because this is big. It really changed the tide of the game because like this gave me a lot more control than it should have, because there's a lot of potential routes in this next turn that would have gone if I didn't get the freeze. One, I don't risk Gliscor, and I go hard Suicune, and I let Suicune just kind of deal with the Pidgeot, potentially get off a Toxic as they might go for a Roost the following turn. Two, I stay in expecting the Roost, and I click Earthquake, and I'm able to kill them on the Roost. Three, I stay in, and I just click Ice Fang again, and it doesn't benefit me, and I lose Gliscor. However, I don't want to lose Gliscor because I know that is a Choice Scarf Garchomp, so having a ground immunity is huge for the remainder of this match. So that's how big this freeze is. Because if they're able to do that, I get in Suicune. If I click Scald, they're able to deal with it pretty appropriately with the rest of their Pokemon. Suicune's actually wasn't the best bring versus their team, so they're able to capitalize on it pretty well. So that would have gave them a lot of momentum if I didn't get that freeze, but now I'm going to risk the freeze and stay in and just click for Ice Fang again, as they do stay frozen, and we do kill the Mega Pidgeot, which is massive. Gliscor's Ice Fang once again cheesing the opponent, just like in week 1. Not my proudest moment, but they go Raikou here. I was like, okay, they went this because they kill me with the Scald. That's fine. I'm going to click Protect. I haven't shown it yet, as they do go for Scald, and now I am 100% out of Scald range this next turn after Poison Heal, so I'm able to click Earthquake here and potentially just pick up a KO, but they show Magnet Rise, which is a really good bring, and I'm like, okay, this thing's actually kind of a threat. So after my next Poison Heal here, I'm going to opt to switch out and go right into Suicune. 1, in case of their Scald, and 2, just to start pressure stalling and know that they can't call Mind up versus me. Now, I'm going to risk it here. If they go for a sub, they go for a sub, because based off their coverage, they would literally only have Scald then, and I feel like that's fairly easy for me to potentially deal with. Now, it would still be an issue if they were sub with Calm Mind, because, yeah, I would have to go, like, Mesprit and then, like, immediately Healing Wish into Melmetal, I feel like, but Choice Band Earthquake does pick up, like, a KO, basically, so that'd be fine. But I have to go for a Toxic here and just hope. But they do have Discharge, and I know I lived the Discharge from where I was at. I get parried. I'm really terrified. But they do not pick up the kill, so we're able to Toxic and get that on Raikou, which is very solid. I'm just going to stay in. Let Suicune go down. There's no point in keeping this thing alive. I don't have a switch into Raikou. As I just go for Scald, as they go hard into Clef, I was like, okay, well, this Cliff might have a Heal Bell, but there's nothing really much I can do about that. So I'm just going to go right into Mesprit in case that's what they opt to go for. And they do go for the Heal Bell here, as they are able to get the poison off on the Raikou. I thought it was saying like Venomoth for a second. But I'm able to go for the Trick Room as they go for Moonblast. Right here is kind of big. If I'm able to underspeed the Clef, because I know if it's offensive, then I am able to get off the Healing Wish first, and then I can go into Melmetal nonetheless. I should have been a minus speed Mesprit in order for this like scenario, because I know Clefable was free for Mesprit to get Trick Room and stuff on. So I really should have made Mesprit minus speed. I didn't really need speed on Mesprit this week, like, at all. Especially considering I'm not staying in versus Delmise anyways. And Ice Beam's not going to be doing a lot to it either way. So I should have taken the speed off on Mesprit, but they do opt to soft boiled, expecting me to be faster, and they stall Trick Room a bit. But I go for the Healing Wish, and it shows that I was technically faster and obviously slower in Trick Room. So they could have killed me, and then Melmetal wouldn't have got this Healing Wish, and that's big for the rest of this game. I do take Stealth Rocks after, but now I'm able to click double Iron Bash. They go hard Jirachi, because they know they need to keep Clef for outside of Trick Room. But Jirachi will just beat to a KO by 2 double Iron Bashes. So this is totally fine with me, and then we're able to click Jirachi, kill Jirachi the following turn. Next turn, I just pick up a kill. That's straight up. I don't know if they calc this when they went to Raikou immediately, because they do opt to go into Guard Chomp as I click double Iron Bash one more time. I think this was just for them to for sure get the chip off on me with their Rough Skin. I feel like that was bait just to make sure I stay locked in, and I tried to get the KO. So that way, Melmetal was then potentially in range of Raikou later on with Discharge. Because right now, I think the max they do to me if they're completely offensive with the Discharge does 65% or 60. It's somewhere around there. So after Stealth Rocks, I will be in range. So they make the play of me taking that chip and then you go on the Clef, which is really good on their part. So then this forces me to switch out. I am going to go hard into Suicune. Let Suicune go down because I'm expecting this to be offensive, of course. Worst case scenario, they don't kill me. They go hard Raikou as I get parried a few times and they get more setup. But they do kill me with Fire Blast, which is perfect. As I go into Charizard here, I'm expecting them to be straight up offensive now that I've seen Fire Blast. And based off the Moonblast damage from Mesprit, I did calc that and it showed they are offensive Magic Guard Life Orb. So I'm like, okay, cool. I just to click Flare Blitz here and do a whole ton of damage to this Clef. Even if they opt to soft boiled after I go for that, I'm able to go into Sneasel and I just click Triple Axle. And if I hit all of the Triple Axles, then Clef will die because it is not defensive. So we go for Flare Blitz, almost outright KOing the Clefable, which is very solid for us as they try to go for a Moonblast in case I was Roo stalling in front of them. And now I can just go into Sneasel and I click Knockoff versus this thing. And if I win the speed tie versus Raikou, I just straight up win the game with one more Knockoff. So as they go into Raikou here, they obviously are going to try and set themselves up for the win by just going for Discharge. But unfortunately, we do win the speed tie and we click Knockoff and we do KO the Raikou. Now, if I did not win that speed tie, and sorry, I'm derping for a second. If I did not win the speed tie versus Raikou, and Raikou KO me there with Discharge, then it would come down to the roll to Melmetal. That's why I didn't click Ice Shard with Sneasel, just to get for sure chip. There was no reason for me to do that, because Gliscor would have to click Ice Fang versus Raikou in case they went for a Magnet Rise. And I think Ice Shard into 2 Ice Fangs might have KO'd, but I'm not willing to take that risk because of the amount of leftovers that they would get, because it wouldn't be knocked off, obviously. I think the best scenario was just me just potentially forcing a speed tie win. And then I go into Melmetal and I'm forced to risk the roll. I think that's all it really came down to there at the end. So, luckily we were able to win the speed tie and it would have come down to the roll nonetheless. So it was a close game. I am unfortunately sorry about the Ice Fang freeze. I'm really tired of like this hacks that's benefiting me, obviously, which is good. Like hashtag we take those. But like at the same time, I want a closer match. And I'm willing to lose if I deserve to lose. It's that simple. But I've just been on a luck streak, so I am kind of asking to be a little unlucky because I don't feel good about the wins when it's like this. Like my game and most of my games in low tier, I felt good about those because I didn't like have that big of hacks in any of those or anything. But it's just like Ascension week 1 and Ascension week 3 now. It's kind of big. So hopefully I get some better games in Ascension because these guys are amazing opponents. It's a very solid group. And I just want to feel like I earned a win properly, you know? Because like I'm here for the competition, so. But please let me know what you thought of the battle down in the comment section. Let me know how your Thanksgiving was, if you did celebrate it. And let me know if you're looking forward to wintertime and everything. But that's going to be it for this week, guys. Thank you for watching the video, and I'll see you all next week. Bye-bye.